Celine stood at the edge of the neon-lit alley, her heart racing as the sounds of the distant city echoed around her. The rain, which had started as a drizzle, now poured heavily from the dark sky, soaking her clothes. She didn't mind. The wet streets, the flashing lights, the sense of danger in the air were all part of the night she had come to embrace. She had made a mistake. A big one. A deal gone wrong with an alien corporation had left her and her company facing bankruptcy. If she didn't fix this, her reputation would be shattered. She couldn't let that happen. She needed a way out, and tonight she hoped to find it. Celine was no stranger to making deals. It was her job. As a skilled negotiator, she had brokered deals with countless species across the galaxy. But this was different. The auction she was attending was unlike any she'd ever seen. Whispers of the dark auction had circled for weeks. People said it was a place where anything could be bought or sold. And tonight, she was about to buy the one thing she needed most, a chance to save her future. She stepped into the large building, at a heavy metal door groaning as it opened. Inside, the room was dimly lit, with shadows dancing across the walls. The air was thick with a mix of perfumes and musk, and the scent of power hung in the atmosphere. A small group of well-dressed individuals milled about, each one a player in the galaxy's underworld. Celine didn't belong here, but that didn't matter. She was here for a reason. The auctioneer, a tall, thin being with strange glowing eyes, stood on a raised platform at the front of the room. He gestured to the crowd, his voice smooth and cold as he spoke in multiple languages, welcoming everyone to the event. But Celine wasn't listening. Her eyes were focused on the figure standing. Just to the side of the platform, the being in question was unlike anything she had ever seen. His skin was a deep shade of indigo, his eyes glowing a fiery red that seemed to pierce through the dim light. He was tall, with broad shoulders and an air of danger that radiated off him. There was something otherworldly about him, something that drew Celine in despite herself. He wasn't just any alien. This was Orcs, a demon, a shifter, a being of unimaginable power. And he was the key to saving her. Celine had heard the rumor stories of a powerful demon bound by an ancient curse. It was said that whoever could break the curse would gain control over Orcs. And with that power came a fortune beyond imagination. But breaking the curse was no easy task. It required a price. The auctioneer's voice snapped her from her thoughts. He announced that the next item was up for bid. The demon, he said, his words sending a chill through the room. Orcs, the cursed shifter. Once a ruler of his people, now bound by chains of magic and fate. Who will take the deal? The room fell silent as the spotlight shifted to Orcs. His crimson eyes locked onto Selena's, and for a moment she felt as though he could see straight through her. She wasn't scared. Not yet, anyway. She was determined. She had come here for one reason, and she wasn't leaving without a solution. Orcs' voice broke the silence. Low and smooth, like the sound of distant thunder. "Do you want to make a deal?" he asked, his gaze never leaving hers. Celine took a step forward, her heart hammering in her chest. "I don't have a choice," she replied, her voice steady, despite the turmoil she felt inside. "I need your help." Orcs didn't move. "And what makes you think I would help you?" His lips curled into a small, almost amused smile. "I don't do favors, especially not for humans." "I'm not here to ask for a favor," Celine said, her voice firm. "I'm here to make a deal." Orcs tilted his head, studying her with curiosity. "A deal? What could you possibly offer me that I would want?" Celine paused, considering her words carefully. "I can help you break your curse. But in exchange, you'll help me get out of this mess I'm in." The room buzzed with whispers, but Orcs ignored them. "You think you can break my curse? It's not something that can be undone so easily. Do you even know what you're asking for?" "I know exactly what I'm asking for," Celine replied, her gaze unwavering. "I've done my research. I know the price of your freedom, and I'm willing to pay it." Orcs studied her for a long moment, his fiery eyes narrowing. "You don't know what you're getting yourself into. This curse is not something you can fix. It's a bond forged by blood and betrayal. It will cost you more than you can imagine. I'm willing to take that risk, Celine said. I'll do whatever it takes. Eric's smile faded, replaced by a look of cold calculation. Very well. If you're so eager, then let's make a deal. Selena's pulse quickened as she stepped closer. What do you need from me? First, you must understand this. Breaking my curse will not be easy. It requires a dangerous journey to retrieve a powerful artifact that is hidden on a planet far from here. The path to it is treacherous, and many have died trying. But if you succeed, I will be free, and I will help you with your situation. All of it. Selena's mind raced. The artifact. The planet. The danger. She had heard of such things before. Powerful relics hidden away, guarded by ancient forces. But she wasn't about to back down now. This was the only chance she had. Fine, she said, her voice steady despite the fear creeping in. I'll go. I'll get your artifact. But you'll hold up your end of the deal, Eric's. No tricks. Eric's eyes gleamed with an unreadable expression. Oh, I'm not known for breaking deals. But be warned, if you fail, the consequences will be severe. For you and for me. Understood, Celine replied, locking eyes with him. We have a deal. As the words left her lips, Celine felt the weight of the decision settle over her. She had made a dangerous choice. There was no going back now. Eric's gave her one last look, part warning, part something else. Something deeper. Something she couldn't quite place. The auctioneer announced the next item, but Celine barely heard him. Her mind was already on the mission ahead. She had made a deal with a demon, and now there was no turning back. The rain had stopped when Celine and Eric's arrived at the docking bay, but the heavy clouds still hung low over the planet. The air was thick with humidity, and the strange scent of alien flowers filled her nostrils. Eric stood beside her, silent and imposing, his crimson eyes scanning the surroundings. As if he expected danger to jump out from every corner, Selena adjusted the strap of her pack and checked the map again. According to the ancient texts she had studied, the artifact they sought was hidden in a forgotten temple deep in the heart of this jungle-covered planet. The temple was said to hold an object of immense power, one that could break the curse, binding Eric's. But the journey there would not be easy. We need to move quickly, Eric said, his voice low. The artifact is heavily guarded, and the longer we wait, the greater the danger. Selena nodded, trying to ignore the flutter of unease in her chest. She had been warned that retrieving the artifact would not be a simple task. But she had no choice now. She had made her deal, and there was no turning back. If she wanted to save her career and perhaps herself, she had to help Eric's break free of his curse. They moved out of the docking bay, stepping onto the soft, wet ground. The jungle loomed before them, dark and mysterious, red vines hanging like thick ropes and towering trees stretching high into the sky. Strange creatures made noises in the distance, and the air hummed with the energy of an ancient, forgotten world. It felt like stepping into another time. Eric's, as usual, seemed unfazed by it all. He moved with purpose, his steps confident and sure. Celine followed, trying her best to match his pace, but it wasn't easy. The air was thick with humidity and the ground was uneven, covered with moss and slick mud as they pushed through the dense jungle. Celine couldn't help but steal glances at Eric's. There was something magnetic about him, something both terrifying and oddly comforting. His presence was powerful, and she could feel it pressing against her, like a storm ready to break. "Why did you choose me?" she asked suddenly, breaking the silence. "You could have asked anyone to help you. You could have gone to the highest bidder, but you chose me." "Why?" Eric's didn't look at her, but she saw his jaw tighten. "You're different," he said simply. "You're not like the others. You don't seek power or wealth for the sake of it. You're willing to take risks?" Celine wasn't sure if that was a compliment or not, but she didn't ask further. Instead, she focused on the path ahead. The journey was becoming more treacherous, with thick vines and brambles cutting at her arms and legs as they pressed deeper into the jungle. The further they went, the more isolated they became. It felt like the rest of the galaxy was a distant memory, and there was only the two of them in the heart of this forgotten world. After several hours of travel, they came to a clearing. In the center of it was the temple, ancient and towering, half buried beneath thick vines and moss. The stone walls were covered in strange, glowing symbols that Celine didn't recognize. The temple looked abandoned, yet something in the air made her uneasy. "This is it," Eric said, his voice low. "The artifact is inside. But be warned, many have tried to take it, and none have succeeded." Celine stepped forward, her pulse quickening. This was it. She was about to enter a place that had been untouched for centuries. And it could either be the key to saving her future, or the end of it. They approached the massive entrance of the temple, where two giant stone doors stood closed, adorned with intricate carvings. Eric reached forward, his fingers brushing the symbols, and the doors creaked open, revealing a dimly lit corridor inside. The air inside was cool, but thick with the scent of ancient dust. As they moved deeper into the temple, the walls seemed to close in around them, and the shadows grew longer. The further they went, the more Celine felt as though they were being watched. Her senses were heightened, every crack and creak of the ancient structure sending a chill down her spine. Suddenly, there was a sound, a low growl from the shadows. Selena's heart skipped a beat as she spun around, but there was nothing there. Eric's eyes flickered to the darkness, and he tensed. "Stay close," he murmured. "The temple is alive with guardians. They will not let us take the artifact without a fight." Before Celine could respond, the ground beneath them trembled. The walls seemed to pulse with energy, and the floor cracked open with a loud snap. In an instant, strange, alien creatures appeared from the darkness, four-legged beasts with glowing eyes and sharp claws that scraped against the stone. Without hesitation, Eric moved. His body shifted before Selena's eyes, and within seconds, he was no longer the man she had been traveling with. He had become something else, an enormous, fearsome creature with dark fur, sharp fangs, and a terrifying presence. His transformation was swift and brutal, like the unleashing of a storm. The beasts lunged at them, but Eric's was faster. With a roar, he struck, his claws raking through the air as he tore into the creatures. Celine froze, watching in awe and fear as Eric's fought. His power was overwhelming. She could feel the raw energy of his demon nature as it surged through the temple. She snapped out of her daze, and one of the creatures lunged toward her, its jaws snapping inches from her face. Instinct took over, and she scrambled backward, her hand reaching for the weapon at her side. She had come prepared, but in the chaos, it took her a moment to find her bearings. "Eric's." She shouted, "We need to move." Eric's eyes flashed with a dangerous gleam as he finished off the last of the creatures. With a final swipe of his claws, he turned to her, his form shifting back to that of the imposing man she had met. He gave her a sharp look. "We're not done yet." The battle had only just begun. The temple seemed to grow darker. The deeper they went, the stronger the feeling of being hunted grew. They moved quickly now, rushing through the dark corridors and avoiding more traps and guardians as they neared the artifact's resting place. Finally, they reached a large chamber at the heart of the temple. In the center, atop a stone pedestal, was the artifact. It glowed with a soft, golden light, and Celine could feel its power even from a distance. It was beautiful, but she knew better than to get too close without understanding its true nature. Eric stepped forward, his eyes narrowing as he studied the artifact. "This is it," he said quietly. "This is what can break my curse." Celine hesitated, her eyes scanning the room. "But what else is guarding it? Is it really this easy?" Eric's gaze flickered to her, his expression unreadable. "There's always a price." Before she could respond, the ground shook again. The room was filled with an eerie, low hum, and the shadows seemed to shift. The guardians were coming. Eric's was right, there was always a price. "We need to get out of here," Celine said, her voice tight, but it was too late. The shadows around them began to move, and out of the darkness stepped the final guardian. It was unlike any creature they had faced before. It was a massive, winged beast, its eyes glowing with the same eerie light as the artifact. Its presence was overwhelming, and Celine could feel the weight of its power. Eric stepped in front of her, his body tense as he prepared for the fight of his life. "This is it," he said softly, his voice filled with determination. "We fight, or we die. The massive winged creature loomed before them, its glowing eyes filled with ancient hatred. Its wings, dark as night, stretched wide, casting an ominous shadow over the chamber. The very air around them seemed to thrum with power, vibrating like a deep, foreboding hum. Selena's breath caught in her throat. The final guardian wasn't just a creature, it was an embodiment of the temple's will. It would not let them take the artifact without a fight. Eric stepped forward, his body tense. The transformation had already begun, the demon's presence inside him rising. His skin darkened, his muscles expanding as his form shifted into the terrifying beast he truly was. "Stay behind me," Eric growled, his voice low and rough, full of the power he now wielded. Selene barely had time to react before the guardian lunged. Its wings flapped with an ear-splitting screech, sending gusts of wind that pushed Selene back, but she quickly regained her footing. She watched, heart pounding, as Eric's met the creature head-on. His claws slashed through the air, catching the beast's hide with a sickening rip. The guardian roared in fury, its eyes narrowing as it swiped its claws at Eric's, who dodged the attack with an almost unnatural speed. Selene's mind raced. She couldn't just stand there and watch. This wasn't just about getting the artifact anymore. It was about survival. She reached for the blaster at her side, her fingers trembling. The weapon felt heavy in her hands, but she steadied herself. Eric's might be powerful, but he couldn't do this alone. "Eric's," she shouted, trying to get his attention. "I'll take the left flank. You focus on the wings." Eric's crimson eyes flashed, acknowledging her words. With a growl, he launched himself into the air, his powerful legs propelling him toward the creature's vulnerable wings. As he collided with the beast, Selene sprinted to the left, using the chaos to find a good vantage point. The creature's wings flapped violently, sending gusts of wind that knocked rocks from the walls. The ground shook beneath her feet, but she kept her focus. She fired the blaster, taking aim at the creature's legs, hoping to disable it long enough for Eric's to finish it off. The first shot hit its target, but the creature barely flinched. "Damn," she muttered, adjusting her stance. She took another shot, this time aiming for the joints of its massive wings. The blast hit home, and the creature let out a terrible screech of pain, but it wasn't enough. The guardian's rage only grew, and it lashed out in retaliation, striking at Eric's with its sharp claws. Eric's grunted as one of the claws scraped across his side, but he didn't slow down. With a roar, he swung his massive claws, knocking the beast back. Selene could see the determination in his eyes, but there was something more. She saw it now more clearly than ever, the deep pain behind his fierce expression. He wasn't just fighting for the artifact. He was fighting for his freedom, and maybe, just maybe, for something more. "Eric's, we can't do this forever." Selene yelled over the noise of the battle. "We need a plan." The demon paused for a moment, his fierce gaze locking with hers. In that instant, a silent understanding passed between them. It wasn't just about breaking his curse anymore. It wasn't just about survival. It was about something they both wanted but had never dared to admit: freedom. The battle intensified as Eric's made a final, desperate move. With a furious roar, he charged, his body shifting into its full, terrifying demon form. His claws slashed through the air, striking the creature with a force that sent shockwaves through the temple. The guardian stumbled back, its eyes narrowing in shock. Selene took her chance. She aimed the blaster at the creature's throat, her hands steady now. With one final shot, she pulled the trigger. The blast hit its mark. The guardian let out a dying screech as it crumpled to the ground, its wings twitching one last time before going still. The air grew silent, the weight of the moment settling over them both. Eric stood over the creature's body, breathing heavily. His form flickered, shifting between his demon and human shapes as the power drained from him. The transformation had taken everything out of him. Selene moved toward him, her heart racing. "Eric's you." Before she could finish, Eric's collapsed to his knees, his large form shuddering. He looked up at her, his fiery eyes glowing faintly in the dim light of the chamber. "The curse. It's not broken," he whispered, his voice thick with exhaustion and regret. "I can't do it alone." Selena's heart skipped a beat. What do you mean? She rushed to his side, kneeling next to him. You've been fighting for this for so long. You can't give up now. Eric's eyes softened for a moment, the cold hardness fading. I'm not giving up, Celine. But breaking this curse, it takes more than just finding the artifact. It takes a sacrifice. Celine frowned. A sacrifice? What are you talking about? Eric's gaze turned inward, haunted by memories Celine couldn't understand. My curse was forged by betrayal. A mistake I made, one that cost my people everything. I was the ruler of a world, but I failed them. To break the curse, I have to give up my very essence. My soul. It's the only way. Selena's stomach tightened. You're saying, you want me to help you? To give up your soul? Eric's looked at her, his gaze full of longing. No, I'm saying, we can break the curse together. If you're willing to make the sacrifice with me, we both can be free. Her heart pounded in her chest. It was the ultimate test. If she agreed, it would cost her everything: her life, her future, her very soul. But as she looked at Eric's, she saw something more than the demon he had become. She saw the man, the ruler who had fallen, and the one who had fought for freedom, for redemption. She thought about the deal she had made, about the journey they had been on together, and how she had slowly come to care for him more than she had ever expected. I'm willing, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Eric's eyes widened. You're sure? Celine nodded, her decision clear. I've already lost everything else. If this is the price for both of us to be free, then I'll pay it. Together. Eric's reached out, his hand trembling slightly as he cupped her face. You don't know what you're offering, he said softly, his voice raw with emotion. I think I do, she replied, and I'm not afraid. Eric's didn't speak. Instead, he pulled her into his arms, his hold tight and desperate. The bond between them built on trust, on sacrifice, and on something deeper than either of them fully understood was about to become the key to their freedom. In the stillness of the temple, amidst the broken guardian and the artifact that had once seemed like the answer to everything, Celine and Eric's shared a moment of peace. Then, as if the world was holding its breath, the artifact in the center of the room began to glow brighter. The air crackled with energy, the power of the curse shifting and swirling around them. Together, they reached for the light, and with a final united effort, the curse that had bound Eric's for centuries shattered. The room was silent once more.